Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the lab as I attempt to fix the camera. How is everybody this morning? Or afternoon, evening, depends on what it is. I would like to apologize first and foremost for the
FBI open up.
but I don't want to, Pippa. Good morning. Thank you so much for the bits. How are you? I would like to apologize to everybody. We've had a bit of a fun time with electrical this morning. So I have basically been trying to ensure that the power doesn't randomly cut on me. I have a UPS underneath me, kind of keeping the power situated. The solar system is apparently not doing the backup that it's supposed to be doing, so I will have to address that at some point. And I might have to drop here in just a moment for again if things start to kind of go nutty on me, then I may have to drop, attempt to fix them, and then come back. So I apologize in advance if the stream is a little choppy this morning, but we are going to do the best that we can do. We shall pretend that this is just a morning where you're trying to get feature work done and prod's on fire. So, and also apologies, no matcha tea this morning, which will be the first time for this lab. I'm sorry to say. We have coffee instead. So, and as a yes, this Saturday slot I do believe is going to stick. Lim is fine. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that, Guitar, and thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome. That makes me feel so much better. And for anybody that is not, go check out Guitar Zero, and give him a subscription, if for nothing else than the cutest emotes on Twitch. Like, look at that Lemmy. Look at her. How can you say no to that Lemmy? So yes, the Saturday slot is going to stick. I really like this time slot. Obviously, this morning has been very chaotic, but I really like this time slot, and I really like the state that my brain is in this morning. So we're gonna give it a shot, and I especially like it because it means that so many of my European viewers kind of get to join in without it being terribly late. Like Pippa, I bless you for stopping into the stream when you do. Everybody that stops in when it's very late. So with that though, you will unfortunately have to deal with, at least for the first part of the stream, you will have to deal with this voice. So this is I have not been talking for a good 15-16 hours, and my voice just kind of goes into whatever this is. So it's almost 2 p.m., a very good time. So I do intend to keep this slot. The thing that I am considering doing is dropping Friday. Sleepy Medge is warming up, yes indeed, and welcome Phoenix. Thank you so much for stopping by. Friday I am considering dropping. It's a decent. You never know, Sleo. Secret identity is Barry White. I do not have that level of suave. Just nope. Don't worry. Just a couple of those laughs will prime my voice back to the whatever range I occupy on a normal basis. The delicious taste of Valhalla Java by Deathwish Coffee. That's such a terrible ad, but so yes, I am thinking about dropping Friday. If anybody has any objections to that, do let me know. I feel like Friday doesn't really work for most people anyway. Or Friday is when most people are kind of wanting to unwind, play games, and just kind of take a break. So sometimes myself included. So I think that I will probably drop Friday and we'll just do a Tuesday, Saturday. Tuesday for my North American viewers, and Saturday for basically everybody else. Assuming that, well, actually, yeah, I guess that would technically be an NA Europe split. Oh, a free cat cam. Boop. Toby has been all kinds of cuddly and needy this morning because of all of the power issues that we've been having. Come on, buddy. Come on. Good boy. And we do also have a we have another cat that is sleeping behind me. Let's see if I can catch her. Yeah, there she is. There's Tilly. In her natural spot of what will probably be the most dangerous place for her to be, like right behind where the chair rolls backwards. Oof. So let's kind of catch up on a couple of things. Let's see here. Let me get the code screen up. Yes. And let me get the Trello board up. So I have been looking into the PubSub client at this point. I missed your keyboard morning song. Oh no, was there a redemption? There was a redemption. Oh, hold that thought then. Bada boop. This blue boom stand. I don't know if you guys know, but I have one of those little buggers. It is a solid boom stand. That's a fantastic microphone stand. All right, let's see what we can come up with. Sound check. Ooh, thank you, guitar. Appreciate the 10 bits. Let's see if I can do that justice.
Boop beep.
Beep boop. Teeny tiny little morning song, and Toby is going absolutely nuts over it. Hello, buddy. Interesting news. They revealed the Channel Points API yesterday. Okay. Let's actually get into that. So, there are two features that I absolutely want to dig into most immediately. Subscriptions and point redemptions. Point redemptions is probably higher on my list. Partially because of data availability and partially because there's some really cool ideas that I have bubbling in my head. So the ability to recognize and respond to channel point redemptions is very high on my list of like things that I want to do, which is not represented by the board at the moment. What we do need is a card for create PubSub client. And in discussions with Shito and discussions with a couple of other people, in attempts to kind of figure out how to handle the PubSub client in the current code, there has definitely been a kind of a recognition that there are some refactor items that are probably going to have to come in. Refactor bot handlers do not use irc.message. This is probably the big one. And consequently, there's also going to be a task here that is create bot dot message or bot dot, I think I wanted to call it bot dot event, to accommodate IRC, and I can't spell this morning, I apologize. It is accommodate IRC and PubSub. I do believe that this is possible, and I've been kind of bouncing back and forth with some ideas that Cheeto has been sharing with me on Miro, as well as some of my own kind of like pokings and playings to see if I could come up with something that makes sense. I have not reached that point yet, but it is definitely something that I think needs to happen. So context for this. I have been looking at the PubSub client for Twitch now a lot. No worries, Leo. Thank you so much for the lurk. I appreciate you being here, and thank you for stopping by the lab. Oh, my ear just popped. Oh, that was a very weird feeling. Oh, my apologies. So yes, I have been looking into this API a lot over the last couple days, off work hours, of course, and there is very much a challenge with how we're going to actually parse these things, how we're actually going to basically take these values, these various messages, and coerce them into a singular structure. And so that is something that I've been trying to think about, and I've also been weighing pros and cons of what I would be willing to take on right now as more or less just assumed tech debt, and what I would really like to spend some time on to really get as close to right as I possibly can right now. Because of the state of the PubSub's messages, how inconsistent they are, which, I mean, to be fair to Twitch, when you look at, say, let me come down to a Bits event message, I think it was. So we have Bits event message. We have badge information. We have the number of bits that were used. We do have some channel information, which we'll already have. We have a message that was sent with the cheer, if any. We have, apparently there's a context. I actually didn't know that there were contexts to cheers, so interesting. And then you can get some other information like the all-time total bits used by that user, which is really interesting and possibly simplifies some of the logic on our side, possibly. But you look at that message, and then you look at a channel point redemption, and it seems like there's a lot of the same data, at least in the sense of, okay, you have your channel ID, you have when it was redeemed, which I think the bits also had a time, or maybe they don't. Okay, so maybe they don't. The reward itself is what the redemption actually was, the title of the redemption, if you will. The cost of that redemption. There's if there was a prompt, it seems was important. The other pieces of it don't really seem to be all that necessary, at least for the purposes of rewards, or at least redemption. If all we really care about is what they redeemed and possibly how much they redeemed it at, so maybe if we wanted to track all-time point redemptions for people, then perhaps that would be, useful. I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest. But there is kind of you can almost derive a generic model out of that. But it takes a little bit of, it makes me a little hesitant, is the long and short of that. And then the subscription message.
So, how are you holding up? Because I'm a potato.
Ninten. Good morning, Raiders. How are y'all doing? Thank you so much for stopping by the lab. Hello. Oh, Spooky and Ninten and Marvel. How are you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. So tired. Then go to bed, my dude.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Oh, I can't actually see it. Epomeny? I think I saw that. I sincerely apologize if I got that wrong. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the lab. Digital lab coats will be available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will actually fit because most of the bots are sleepy. And real quick for the Raiders this morning. So I have been having a lot of power issues this morning. So I do have a battery backed power supply that's sitting underneath.
How are you holding up? Because I'm a potato.
Thank you, Ninten, for the 2-month resubscription. Staying a lab assistant for 2 months. You madman. My shirt looks super cozy. This is now a cozy stream. Oh yes, it is. It is very cozy. I'm very, very fond of Henley's. But yes, so I've been having a lot of power issues this morning. I have an uninterruptible power supply, battery backup under me. So at a bare minimum, the stream shouldn't cut off. But at the same time, I only have like a minute usually to respond to it. So if I suddenly have to if I have to put the starting screen up and just disappear really quickly, that's basically me running down to the garage to flip the breaker. So apologies in advance if there are some pauses during today's stream. That will likely happen a couple of times, so I'm gonna try my best. So bear with me. Badge was missing. Yeah, I haven't really figured out like any of the artistic side of this stream, to be perfectly honest. Emotes, badges, like oof. I will get there at some point. Let's see here. I was looking for my cup. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Give me just a second. Sorry, I'm already gonna cut the stream brief but give me just a moment. Got it. Found it. Maybe we should program an AI for who can flip the switch. Yo, I'm considering it. Although I have moved a lot of stuff out of this room. I think I've showed this a couple of times. Do a quick pause. I've showed this a couple of times. This is my workshop server rack. And this is where basically all of the hardware currently sits, or at least it was. The router is no longer up here. My Ubiquity router is no longer up here. This is no longer a powered a PoE switch. There is still the Windows PC that's back there. The Mac is still on there, and the NAS is still on there. But the virtualization box is no longer in there. I actually downsized, or not downsized, technically it was an upgrade, to a Ubiquiti Dream Machine. So my network appliances shrunk, and because of that, I got to move them back into the old network closet. So there's not as much drawing power from this room, but before, like, this teeny tiny little 15 amp breaker that's on this workshop is just not, like, I need something bigger for this room, if nothing else than for the presence of that monstrosity behind me. PS5, 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 PS5. Yes. So I did get my PS5 yesterday. Didn't really get to play it much. I got to play one round of Ghost of Tsushima with my buddy, and oh my goodness. Wow. I'm sorry, Nintendo. This is not GOT Stream. I'm sorry. The lab is for code. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll tell you what, though. I will say it on stream so that there is a record of it. We will do one game stream at some point. I will need to figure out how I would even do that. But I will give you a game stream. It will not be a horror game stream, because I'm pretty sure that everybody that knows me knows that I am a big old baby when it comes to horror games. And it will not be Dark Souls. Just gonna go ahead and throw that out there now. But we will do a game stream in some capacity. Just one, though. For now. Unless something, like, absolutely explodes. Like, fuck it. If we get to 500 followers, then I'll do another one. How about that? All right. So, code. Hey, the thing that nobody stays for. And genuinely, thank you all so much for being here, but do take off if you need to. I am not going to be offended in any capacity. So I was looking, I was trying to think of a way, because of the different shapes of all of these messages, I was trying to think of a way that I could effectively create a generic-ish model. There is also the other approach, which, for various reasons, it's called the God model. If anybody has heard of that term before. Some people call it an Uber model, some people call it a fat model. We always called it the God model, for various reasons that I don't really understand, to be perfectly honest. But the general idea is that it is a model that encompasses all possible permutations. So if I take this as an example, let me pop into PubSub. So right now we just have this event struct, and the event struct is pretty flat. It's type data error. I think this may not be too applicable. We do have a type. Oh no, we do have a type. We do have data. We have a type. We have data. We have a type. We have data. Never mind. Twitch actually made that part consistent. I am pleased. Oh my goodness. But what we diverge on really is what is actually the data. Like, having data here doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because at least it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense if we were going a God model approach. Now, disclaimer, I'm not quite convinced that a God model makes sense, but in a nutshell, what it would kind of sort of look like is something like this.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
La 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 Pippa. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the lab. I appreciate it. Digital lab coats will be available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will actually fit, because we did make a lab coat for your brother, but we're not entirely sure that the measurements are perfect. Are you identical twins? So this is the TLDR of what a God model would look like. Bits event, or so bit event would be of type bit event. Let's see here. Bit event for a bit event, sub event for subscription event, and let's say point event for a point redemption event. And I am using the moniker of event here, since PubSub is very event driven. It's an event driven concept. I'm using the moniker event because that's, at least in my experience, that's what I've always seen. Like, PubSub is publishing and you are subscribing to events, or you're technically subscribing to topics, which are going to give you events. So this is the general idea of a God model. There is basically a field on your struct for each type of message that could potentially come down. And actually, usually data would be available. So it would be something like data would probably be unexported, and then sub event or bit event and point event would be exported, so they would be accessible. And the theory is that you receive an event from Twitch, you receive that JSON payload, and your next step in the client is to figure out which of these fields gets populated. And I have unfortunately seen people do this, which I'm not too keen on, but the theory here is that if the field is a pointer, then you can check for the presence of nil. I don't personally like that. I personally much prefer having some kind of method that says if is bit event, then read the bit event field. And that basically creates the contract with your consumer, that you as the consumer have to check what kind of event this God model is representing. But if I say that this is a bit event, then there will be a bit event. So how that normally resolves, or how that normally results, is what is basically a very large, sparsely populated model. Now, in our case, this is not a very large model. Thankfully, our integration is very small in comparison. And since we would only be supporting bit events, sub events, and point events, it's pretty, I mean, it's not terrible to look at these things, and you can at least kind of tell that, and it would probably actually be, it would probably be beneficial to have some kind of a comment here saying, all encompassing event model for PubSub events. Let's see here. Consumers should check event type before reading from any event field. Any, should say, a specific event field. So it kind of sets it up as you have to be a little careful. You have to be a bit more cognizant of, like, hey, you need to check what kind of event this is, and then we'll hand you whatever model it is. And have to ask what are we wanting to do when there is an event? Are we writing it to chat or elsewhere? To be determined. And I think it depends on what we actually do in the bot in response to these events, Shito. So, for example, you could do more or less similar to the greeter, where we say, if I receive a bit event, thank the person that sent the bits, or something of that nature. Or it could be more complex of, well, maybe we want to keep track of those bits, and maybe we want to store those somewhere, like in Redis or somewhere else. I think it depends on what we end up doing with the feature. But I think for a hello world of the handler, I think that like sending a thank you message, for example, in the chat would probably be a good way of at least testing that, like, hey, we received the event and we responded to the event in some way. Ooh, that actually reminds me. That reminds me of another thing that I think we are going to need to look at, which is explore mustache templates.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Yoda Droid, that is a fantastic name. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the lab. Digital lab coats will be available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will actually fit because we've kind of had a little bit of a back and forth between the Sith and the Jedi onto what unit of measurement to actually use. So the end result is a little wonky. Explore mustache templates for config.yaml message format keys. I think that there is a... There is something else that's gonna have to happen with the... Oh, I hear it. I hear it. All right. Forewarning, I may have to run off here in a second. We'll see how the power does. But I hear it outside, and I'm like, oh boy, prepare. So we'll come back to that. But are there any unit tests to check for example sub functionality? You hit on a piece of tech debt that I really want to address at some point, Pippa. The short answer is there could be. And either I have to mock the WebSocket connection, which I really don't want to do. I have horror stories about trying to mock what is effectively protocol objects like WebSocket connection that I definitely need to address. But the short answer is yes. If, for example, WebSocket connection was an IO read writer, then an IO read writer would allow me to basically create an instance of the PubSub client with a test buffer. And then the test could actually send messages to the PubSub client as if it was a real network connection. And I could test in that format. IRC is obviously the same problem because WebSocket connection is not an IO reader, writer, read-write closer, any of those combinations. So it makes testing very difficult, to say the least. Oh, don't you start. Sorry, I'm paranoid now. But because that object is not an IO reader, an IO writer, or really any interface that I can kind of swap in and out very easily, there's a little bit of work that I would have to do to make that happen.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Marv Robot, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the lab. Digital lab coats will be available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will actually work because, well, I can't even say that they fit, let alone work. So how on earth would I actually construct them? Thank you so much for the follow, mate. Welcome. Free cat cam again, apparently. Hello, buddy. You want to say hi? Toby. Oh, and now you're... Oy. And now my nose is starting to get to me. Did this cat's voice box just say that? Yes, I am the meat box that does the cat's bidding. Because we all know. And Doptimist, which is a fantastic name. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. Sorry, buddy. I need that arm. Hello. Yes, I am very to kind of close that thought. I am very displeased with the lack of tests that exist in this code base, and I would really like to take the time to fix that. I think one thing that I am going to have to do to fix that is I am going to have to figure out a way to mock or to swap a WebSocket connection, because I do believe in like improper tests, but this is making it very difficult. So yeah, we will be fixing that for sure. 8:30. Oh boy. Oh, I have a feeling this is going to be a mostly theoretical stream and not so much a writing code stream. So that's one thought. One thought is kind of going the God model approach of like every message, every event that we intend to support from this PubSub client will effectively be a field in the struct. And it's worth saying that number one, Go doesn't really support generics truly, but number two, even with generics, like generics would only add a typecast to the mix, and so it kind of would be doing the same thing to the client of whoever is consuming this client. You would still have to make a call about whether or not this is a bit event, a sub event, or a point event. You would still have to make that call, and you would still have to derive that in some capacity. So I don't really see generics really helping with that problem either. Something that I do believe would make sense, and the other thing to mention here as well is that we also are, the intent of this client is not to construct bot messages. The intent of this struct is to basically publish some type of model that the bot can then massage into a bot message. What the bot message looks like on the other end, maybe it's a similar model, maybe it's a completely different model. I'm not entirely sure about that just yet. But the intention is not so much to create a model that the bot can then shuttle off to the handlers. And that was what I wanted to show earlier. So right now we have the definition of a handler, and the definition of a handler is a function that consumes an IRC message. Obviously, with the presence of PubSub, that doesn't really help us in any capacity. And so now the question is, well, do we just add another field? Like, do we add another field to this consumer and say, oh, well, it's an IRC.message or it's a PubSub event? No. I think the answer is a resounding no for that one. So that's where this ticket came from, of refactor bot handlers to not use an IRC message and create a bot event. So bot.event was the generic thing, but we might call that something else. Maybe we'll call it message. I don't know. But the thought there was that the bot should be receiving messages from the IRC and from PubSub. Until one completely supplants the other, I mean, they're basically going to live in tandem with each other. So the bot is more or less responsible for read from each of those clients and then turn that into something consumable by the handlers.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Kingston Dev. Okay, now I'm curious. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab, and thank you for the follow. Digital lab coats will be available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will actually fit because I am flabbergasted by your name. But thank you so much for stopping in. Welcome. So yes. Oh, I hear it. I hear it, and I'm prepping for it. Yes. So that's the other side of this. I think that we can probably go forward with creating the PubSub client first and getting that kind of connected and working. Real Kingston Dev? That was my question, Pippa. If not, still a fantastic name. So that was kind of in my mind of being kind of the first thing that we do still do. We do still need to solve the problem of connecting to PubSub, issuing listens, unlistens, handling connection failures and reconnects and all that. Like, all of that is still something that we have to do. But I think that either immediately after, or basically immediately after, before we move on to working on the new features, we are probably going to need to go back and refactor that usage of IRC message. So I already wrote about 700 unit tests for an Angular app. Wow. That's insane, Pippa. Holy crap. We just had coverage of about 75%. I mean, I think I've gone on this tirade before, but code coverage does not equal quality, at least in my opinion. My opinion is that code coverage metrics can be kind of it can put you into a false sense of security. But if you are writing good tests, and those good tests are catching the possible exceptions, the edge cases, and they are giving you that confidence while also giving you the high coverage numbers, you are in such a nirvana state, and that is such a good, that's such a good feeling. I absolutely agree with that. A good test suite will make or break how you feel about making or breaking production. So, yes. So that is fantastic. Farinor, welcome to the lab, mate. Thank you so much for stopping by. When will managers start measuring coverage of only unit testable logic and not the whole code base? To be perfectly honest, I don't believe that managers should be collecting they should be collecting or caring about coverage at all. Personally, personal opinion. Yeah. Am I crazy? Yes, Pippa. But that's not a bad thing. Thank you for the stretch. I did work in at a company that did actually run a performance kind of a performance measurement of the dev. So this was the dev talking to their manager, and their performance review at the end of every year included a recount of code coverage. And the sad thing was that was one of the most stable products that I had ever worked on. Like, we did break things. Don't get me wrong. There's no such thing as a code base that never breaks in production, ever. We did break things, but in comparison, it was so low stress. The work was challenging, but it was so low stress. And you would get, at the end of the year, you would basically get a ding for not maintaining a code coverage for the code base of greater than 80% or something of that nature. And it's but that code coverage metric doesn't include the end-to-end tests that we run as a true sanity check for the code. So a little bit of my PTSD came out there. Am I salty? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why this made me think of it, but somebody at the grocery store yesterday, I'm sitting there with my mask, my pea coat, I'm covered up more or less. Somebody comes up to me in the aisle and goes, you really wear salt and pepper well. Thank you, I guess. Anyway, rule number 1 of a pandemic: keep your distance. We have a rule that to have at least 80% coverage with unit tests only. Oof. Did you use them for disinfection? Just salt and pepper just all over me. Like, get it off of me. I have a coworker who not only does really awesome work, but the amount he's able to help with the rest of us while being a rock star is helping you debug your brain logic and assumptions. If we didn't have him, that's... How do you metric that? You don't, Farinor. You don't do it with code coverage. You do it with the rapport and the trust of the people around them. And if all you're doing is measuring somebody by a number that a tool that's only looking at a small piece of the development cycle spits out, that to me sounds like a very broken process. Anyway, can you tell that I get a little passionate about those types of things? Just a little bit. I believe in seeing the full picture. If you don't see the full picture, you're only making assumptions. I think we all do. Rise up, developers. So, where we left off with PubSub, which I have exactly 20 minutes to do this, because I unfortunately do have a hard stop at 9 this morning, and I'm thankful. Like, the power is not being a jerk right now. Huzzah! And yet I didn't get anything done. So the one thing that we need to solve first and foremost is connection management. Connection management is interesting because unlike IRC, it's the reverse. In IRC, the server is sending us ping messages, and all we have to do as a client is respond with a pong message. And as long as we do that, as soon as we receive that ping message, we are perfectly fine. With PubSub, we are now the ones that are sending the ping message. So there's a couple of bits to that. Number one, we need to keep the server from closing the connection, clients must send a ping command at least once every 5 minutes. So it says at least once. If we do it more than every 5 minutes, it seems like that's okay. So when I see a requirement like that, I immediately decrement. It's like, okay, you require 5 minutes, I'm going to send it every 3 minutes. And the reason that I do that is so that I have a chunk of time to account for error conditions. Now, 2 minutes to account for error conditions is a long time. So it's not always necessary to do that. It's not necessary to build in that amount of buffer. So just throwing that out there. Like, I've seen error buffers of like 10 seconds for more real-time systems. But so we need a scheduled task. If a client does not receive a pong message within 10 seconds of issuing a ping, it should reconnect to the server, which is reconnect logic that we basically have to account for, that we didn't necessarily have to account for before. What else? There was something else that it was the reconnect message. Hydrate. Thank you, Shito. I would go 4 as well. I probably will as well. When I said 3, the first thing that my brain started doing was 2 minutes? That's a long time. Let's see here. So then we also have this reconnect message. So not only are we sending ping messages and expecting pong messages, but we are also potentially receiving another type of message of reconnect. And the reconnect message is basically a forceful, like, hey, the server's about to restart and you will disconnect. So now we have to reconnect. So that is something that also needs to be addressed. So let me come back to PubSub real quick. Okay. Let me get rid of those. And we will rock you. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. For now, I think if we just have type and error, and we don't need those. Event from a listened topic on PubSub. Which for now, we won't listen to any topics. We'll just connect and basically keep the connection alive. So we have this connect. We need a connect. We need a reconnect, which is making me think that it probably makes sense to actually store the URL that we are kind of keeping in the struct. Not in this struct, but in the client. And then, let's see here. To account for reconnects, we need to store the URL we connect to. And the only reason that I'm putting a comment there is because we don't do this in the IRC. In the IRC, we just connect and then we forget about that URL. But here, we're going to need, let's see here. We need server URL is of type URL.url. And then we are going to say client.server URL equals you. So that's going to be important for the reconnect, because what we can now do... Hey.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Dopamus, thank you so much for the follow, mate. I appreciate it. Welcome to the lab. Digital lab coats will be available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will actually fit because, as you can see, I can barely type. So, by God, would I be able to put a lab coat together? Let's see here. I do not believe that Reconnect is going to be a public API, though. KKA? No, that was almost bad. That is one of the downsides of being a Vim user, because I'm constantly using J and K to go up and down. You know what I occasionally type if I'm in insert mode. And I feel so bad every time that I do. So let me bring this down here. So we've got a write, and then we've got... Oh, shit. We've got write, and we've got reconnect. So I do not imagine that this will be a public API, because I don't really want consumers of the client to have to handle reconnect messages. Similar to how ping pong is just kind of handled under the hood by the IRC client. Same thing here. I am just automatically going to handle reconnects. Reconnect, or we should say, handle reconnect. I can't do it the way that Sorcery does. I'm so sorry. Handle reconnect events sent from the server. Well, technically it's not just reconnect. It's handle the need. We are not lead speakers here. To reconnect the client. Could be an error. Okay, I can't resist. I'm sorry. Maybe it was an error. Maybe it was a reconnect event. Maybe it's Maybelline. Copyright infringement? Or trademark infringement? You never know. Oh, shoot. Okay. Sorry, guys. Give me just a second. I will be right back. Well, isn't that a fantastic view? Hello. Apologies there. By the way, Farinor, why is your name on Discord Ban Farinor? I'm not going to ban you. I refuse. I refuse in all capacities. Just saying. Which, by the way, we do have a Discord if you would like to jump in, if you would like to have conversations with me in between streams. Just saying. Your IRL name is Ban. Well, there we go. I am an asshole, and I apologize. I saw that as I came back, I saw it on Discord, and I just kind of popped in and was like, Ban Farinor? Oh! It's like, James Harris, thank you so much for stopping by, mate. Welcome. Welcome to the lab. Go looks beautiful. It really does, doesn't it? All right, so I'm going to have to wrap this up here in about 10 minutes. But I am very pleased with this. Initials was all good. No worries. Oh boy. Oh, that emote. Oh, that's so adorable. Oh my goodness. Anyway, need to focus. So for reconnection, as far as I'm concerned, is really just another call to connect, or at least we can handle it as a call to connect. Now, what I would like to do, because of cases of reconnect, reconnect is definitely
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
James Harris. Is it James Harris or James Harry's? I sincerely apologize for the damn it sorcery. You break me, woman. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the lab. Digital lab coats will be available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will actually fit because I can barely function right now. The entertainment has arrived. Why you gotta arrive at the last 9 minutes of the stream? I'm just kidding. I don't care if you're here for 10 seconds or the entire stream. I appreciate you you being here, Sorcery. And this better be working again. Fiol! 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 If Fiol was like lurking with headphones on, he is probably very displeased with me right now. Fiol! Sorcery is here. You know what to do. Oh, Jesus, JJJ. I almost typed the wrong thing. Oh, Jesus Christ. Thank you, Fiol. So, one thing that I do like to do when it comes to reconnects is because reconnects is often associated to some kind of event that something has either gone wrong or something is about to go wrong, I like to log directly where reconnect happens. Reconnecting pub/sub client. And then what we can do here is we can just call client.connect. And let's see here, what do we need? What will we... Gotta disappoint you though, I'm lurking on laptop while doing exercises on PC. No worries, mate. I appreciate you being here. So error equals client.connect. Now here we have to just deconstruct the URL that we currently store. Although, well, actually, no, we don't. No, we don't. Or should we? Yeah, that doesn't really feel... It doesn't really feel necessary to store the URL when we're just going to construct another URL. I feel like it makes more sense to just store server host as a string and server scheme as a string.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Yanzim, thank you so much for the follow, mate. Welcome to the lab, and I apologize if I butchered that name. Digital lab coats will be available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will actually fit, because if I can barely pronounce your name, I'm probably not to be trusted with actually getting fit right. We need to store, so I'm going to change this to connection details. Ooh, hey! If you guys are up for it, I just got an extra 30 minutes. Absolutely. Welcome to the lab. Appreciate you being here. I just got an extra 30 minutes, so hey. Well, I got an extra 30 minutes assuming that the power doesn't dick me over. So yeah, sorry. The chain of thought there was that originally we were storing URL because here URL is what's being constructed to connect to the server. And I thought that I was going to basically either move or duplicate this logic. But I decided that that wasn't really what I wanted to do, because if I'm just going to reuse the connect URL or the connect method, then there's really no reason to store the URL. Instead, we can just store the server host equals server, and we can store .server scheme. Oh, what? Okay, hold on a second. Hey, chat. Question. What is that? Change the light color? Pray tell, Shito. What color would you like? I wonder what color Shito is going to pick. Also, chat, what is that? What did my editor just do? Shito purple? Hey, that, you know what? That's why we got it as a button. Client equals command line client. Client in this case would be kind of like an API client, I suppose. So in this case, we're basically creating a client in between. Sorry, that fucked with me. Really, Frank, welcome to the lab, mate. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let's see here. But technically speaking, Faranor, the bot is a command line client, if that's what you were asking. Apologies if I misunderstood. Oh my goodness. I just spilled coffee all over my... Can you tell that I function? I'm not even going to go any further than that. So, yes. So what I would like to do is change this to server host and client.server scheme. Yes. Error equals a thing. Error is declared but not used. That's okay. If error does not equal to nil, then at this point, I feel like we can just keep retrying. So there's something that I would like to do. Here, I'm gonna be terrible about it. I'm sorry, but I would like to wait 5 seconds.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Alvin5 How, thank you so much for the follow, mate. Welcome to the lab. Digital lab coats will be available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will actually fit, because I can barely type, therefore I cannot actually sew. I can actually sew, but not very well. I was suggesting that Vim said you had a client. I like it. You know what? I'm going to go with that, and not that I just goofed up the keys on my my ridiculously tiny keyboard. That's what I'm going to go with. But yes, I would, to reconnect, I think I would like to wait for, yeah, let's call it 5 seconds, because the time to indicate, yes, okay. Clients may receive a reconnect message. This indicates that the server is about to restart and will disconnect the client within 30 seconds. So if I wait 5 seconds, that should be perfectly fine. And the reason that I wanted to attempt a reconnect, I was thinking about just doing a very simple retry handler. Now the first thing that we absolutely should be doing though is we need to client.lock. And the reason that we need to client.lock is because when we have a reconnect, oh, sorry, Pippa, is connect an async function? It is not, no. We don't really have async decorators in Go. The closest thing that we have to that would be spawning up a Go routine. So if I were to turn this into a Go func, that would effectively turn it into an equivalent of an async function, but it would not be as nice as, say, Node.js's async function. So, yes. Is that actually still correct? Does Go actually have async, the async decorator? I don't think it does. Anyway, let's see here. Log.println. Okay, so here's my thought. Log.println, reconnecting pub sub client. Defer client.unlock. Maybe sleep for 3 seconds. 3 seconds is a long time in computing terms. And then we attempt a client.connect. If error does not equal to nil, this is the part where I was trying to think of, well, maybe we retry. Like, maybe we retry n number of times. For the initial term, I'm just going to do this. Now, this needs to have to do. This needs a termination condition. There's really no need for async because it has Go routines. That's true. Let's see here. So what I'm thinking here, and I don't know if this is a great way of doing this. Effectively, what I need is some kind of way. And by the way, this is a terrible thing to do. Like, effectively what I am doing is I am locking a mutex and then going into recursion mode, which is oof. And if error is not equal to nil, client.reconnect. Otherwise, you know what? Let's try this. Let's do this. Yeah, big oof. Don't do this. Instead, what I would like to do and don't do this, does it himself. Do as I say, not as I do? Nah. Never just do as I say. Always have a healthy dose of skepticism. Always. So what would I want to do here? I would probably want to do I equals 0, or retries equals 0. For retries equals 0, error does not equal to nil. Retries plus plus. Apologies. So I was up late. I woke up late to catch the end of the Unus Annus stream, and now I'm just all kinds of bleh. Okay. Instead of this, we want to do client.connect. We basically want this this part. Go nil is Java C# null. Kind of. It's very similar in many many aspects, but it's different. It's different in the sense that it's not as universally applicable because Go actually has primitives, and it doesn't allow you to assign null to those primitives. If I remember correctly, nil is only really usable in pointers, isn't it? Nil pointers and basically anything, any struct or any structure that represents a reference, which I believe is only pointers. So like the surface area of possible like absolute destruction is really small. Pointers, interfaces, maps, slices, channels, and function types. Gotcha. Okay. Which makes sense because those things would have to be references. Yes. Okay. Let's see here. So the thought here is client.lock, defer client.unlock. So this ensures that regardless of how this loop actually ends, we are going to stay within the scope of this function, and when this function scope ends, the defer is going to fire. Error does not equal to nil, or would it be an or in this case? Or retries is less than max retries. And I am going to add a const up here, a const block up here to catch that. Max retries equals 5. Number of times to retry reconnects. Okay, so for retries is equal to 0. Error, if error is not equal to nil, actually, this would be and. This would be an and condition. And retries is less than max retries. Retries plus plus. So what this is going to create is a loop that is terminated only by error equal to nil, or retries is the terminating condition should be equal to nil, or retries is equal to max retries. Oops, I missed an equal sign there. Yes, so initialization, termination, increment. Retries is equal to 0. We initialize our retry count to 0. Only terminate this loop if the error is equal to nil or retries has reached max retries. So this is effectively a bounded retry loop. It's not a infinite retry loop. It's a bounded retry loop. Inside of this loop, we are going to pause for up to, and I am going to make this exponential back off as well. 1 times time.second times retries. Or perhaps, perhaps we should just do plus retries. So this would be, it's technically not incremental, all things, or exponential. Yeah, if it was exponential, it would be that. So the first time around, sleep for 1 second. Second time around, invalid. No. We're just gonna do plus for the sake of simplicity, because I think because of the nature of that time.duration and int. Whoops. So this would actually need to be 1 plus retries times time.second. There we go. No? You still don't like that? Invalid operation. Nah. Oh, you don't like why doesn't it like that? Oh, wait a minute, is that? Can I not do that? How did I do this before? What did I do previously? I think it should be retries equals max retries minus 1. Yeah, because that would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're correct, Pippa. You are absolutely correct, Pippa. Thank you for catching that. I appreciate it. Because retries is an integer and 1 plus retries becomes an int, which is not a time.duration. Which I thought you could do integer. How do you do that then? So that means that I can do 1 time.duration. Okay, so you have to cast it. Okay. Got it. It is second, Shito. That's a fair point. I thought it was seconds too. Huh. Y'all are catching all kinds of things on me today. I like it. And thank you, Really Frank. I appreciate it. So it's, you have to cast that piece to time.duration, and then I can, okay, that makes more sense. So we want to sleep for an exponential amount of time, which we can now change that back to 1 times dot retries. You know what? Okay, so Pippa, I am actually going to use your call out as inspiration. So because we're starting from 0, that creates a little bit of a mathematical annoyance for me. So instead, I'm going to shift the loop, which bothers more developers than I ever really anticipate. Because all developers seem to be very hardwired to start loops from 0, myself included. Don't get me wrong, and especially if I'm doing accesses, like if I'm accessing an array with explicit indexing. Obviously, you want to start from 0 there, but in this case, I would like to shift the loop from 1 to max retries. Such that we still get the same number of tries, but now the math works out without me having to account for the 0 case. John the Viewer, thank you so much for stopping by, mate. Welcome to the lab. How are you? Hello, I am Edge. Nice to meet you. Let's see here. No, you've been here before. Have you been here before, John? I could have sworn you were here before. I am losing my mind. So yes, we are going to sleep for a period of time. 1 second, 2 seconds, 4 seconds, 8 seconds, 10 seconds. So up to a maximum of a 10-second wait. By that time, we are just dead in the water, I think. Wait. Yeah, no, that's just retries. It would be retries times retries, wouldn't it be? Yeah. Really, Frank, you know, it made sense in my head. It really made sense in my head. 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3. Yeah. You see, everybody? Programming ain't perfect, and I sure as hell ain't either. Oof. Oh my goodness. Hi, how you doing? I'm doing great. You know what? Retries times time.second. Do you have to do the typecast?
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Yeah, you do. John the viewer, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the lab. Digital lab coats will be available upon request. However, I cannot guarantee that they will actually fit because if I'm this dysfunctional on code, God forbid, I'm for 0 times retries. Leave me alone, Cheeto. Oh my goodness. I am... Good morning, everybody. -1 times retry. I deserve everything that's happening in the chat right now. Retries times time.second, which means that'll be a maximum of what? 5, 9, 12, 14, 15. So that'll be a maximum of 15 seconds. Which actually works. It kind of works in our favor in the case of the reconnect. So in a weird way, my inability to comprehend basic mathematics has actually worked out for me. Doesn't happen very often, but man, am I thankful when it does. Oof. Hello, sorry, I can't think of one. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I did get your message. I am enthralled. So, the back of my head is now tense from all the laughing that I'm doing. Finally, we will attempt to do this. And all this is doing is just attempting a reconnect multiple times. The retry count will happen until I get a point where error equals nil. When error equals nil, then we're perfectly fine. If error equals nil off the get-go, this for loop should not run. Let's see here. And here we also want to do a log.printf. And here, reconnect failed. We'll do our format, error reconnect. Retry. And I do want to capture which iteration we're on so that we can kind of see if there's a consistent theme. So this would be retries and error. So that way we, at a bare minimum, we'll get a log somewhere that this retry loop has hit. When I laugh a lot, my cheeks hurt. Mine too. Like right here, right at the at where the jawbone is, which is really bad for me because I've had surgery on that. I've had reconstructive jaw surgery, so stressing that area is all kinds of fun. Okay. That's just handling a scenario that we can't even account for, or that we can't even handle right now. All of that time just to draw a reconnect function. But hey, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. So let's do a quick gut check. We have our connect function, which is more or less the exact same code as what we had before. We have our defer close function. We have a read, which we are going to have to fix. A send ping. This is the part that that we need. We probably don't need send ping to be there. Send ping is probably going to be down here. No such thing as stupid questions, Pippa. Do we need to think about the 30-second limit here? Is it per reconnection or all reconnections? I think the 30-second disconnect is more just a once we receive the reconnect. Yeah, once we receive the reconnect message, we have 30 seconds to respond to it. And I think the only consideration for the 30 seconds here would be if for some reason we were having network issues. But at the same time, that's kind of redundant if you really think about it, because if we're having network issues, we ain't reconnecting, all things considered. So I think the 30-second minimum doesn't really apply here. It's more, here, it's more that this is kind of accounting for a maximum of 15 seconds of basically deadlock before we do something to error out. Oh, so sorry. Ow, my ear. We do still need to do something about that, that failure to reconnect. And how I communicate that, or where I communicate that, is still a to-do. So to-do, if retries equals max retries minus 1, what do we do? Do we fatal F? Do we log.fatal F out? Do we just basically have a dead pub sub connection? I don't really know. I don't really know what to do in that case just yet. So we'll have to figure that out.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
MKV SNG? Thank you so much for the follow, mate. Welcome to the lab. Digital lab codes will be available upon request. However, I cannot guarantee that they will actually fit. I sadly do not have an additional piece to add on top of that. Computer.reboot. OS.sigsev. Yes. Let's see here. So ping handler to keep the connection alive. Okay. Now this is the part where I had to basically consider the read loop, or the read message loop, I should say. I feel so stupid because I don't get any of this. Not at all, John. What you are seeing, like what I'm doing and the things that I am doing, is not trivial, like in any capacity. And especially since you're so late to this far into the stream, not late to the stream, but since you're this far into the stream, you're seeing code with no context of like what we've done, what we're trying to do and to connect. Like that should not be you should not feel stupid at all for that. And at any point, if you want to go over the general context, like off stream, if you want to message me and want to hear more about the code, if you want to hear kind of the English definition, please reach out to me. More than happy to go through that. Just saying. So Yes. But absolutely not something to feel stupid about in any capacity. Curiosity is fun. Syntax question: can we write here return client.write? Yes, we could. And what I kind of did here was set myself up for the potentiality of wait for Pong. And I'm not sure that we're really going to get that. But here's a thing that we can do. And this is where I'm kind of like I'm trying to think of how I would want to structure this. This is a little bit of what was kind of giving me pause, and I don't think I'm going to get to it today. But this is what was giving me a little bit of pause last time. How to actually handle the ping connections. This is what I'm not certain of. Let me look at this. Clients establish a secure WebSocket connection to PubSub. And to keep the server from closing the connection, clients must send a ping command at least once every 5 minutes. If a client does not receive a Pong message within 10 seconds, it should reconnect. Clients must listen on at least one topic within 15 seconds of establishing the connection, or they will be disconnected. Okay, that's kind of important. And clients may receive a reconnect message at any time because of reconnection. Hello, Tiny Cat. Blah! Tiny Cat. Hello, pretty girl. Algo, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. Is there a possibility to contribute? Yes. So let me. Oh dear, I don't have. I need to make this a command. I really need to make this a command. EdgeLabs Streambot. I will post this in the channel here. This code is up on a publicly available GitHub repository. You are more than welcome to open up a PR, and if you have suggestions for things to change or suggestions for improvement, by all means. This is very much an open code base, and if you would like to contribute, then by all means. Just as a heads up, any additional feature adds are probably going to be long PRs, because what I would like to do is I would like to, in cases of like people wanting to add features to the bot, I would like to review those PRs on stream. And there may be some back and forth discussion on design and so forth, but that is absolutely more than welcome. Yeah, my mom is deathly afraid of cats. I don't know why. I mean, my dad claims that he is deathly allergic to cats, and by deathly allergic, he says that he will bunt the cat anytime that he sees a cat. And so I have to remind him, you are coming into my house. Do not bunt my cats. But he's good, though. He doesn't do that. In fact, I think he is taken to Toby particularly well, which would be the white cat from earlier. Yes. So I'll end the stream on this thought. No harm to cats ever. So how we keep the connection alive is what's giving me pause. What I think I'm going to have to do is in the read loop somewhere. I feel like in the read loop, I'll have to account for those messages. And maybe it's perfectly fine to so right now what the read loop is doing is it's basically reading a message off of the WebSocket connection, and then it's parsing it into that structure and then returning it. So, but what I want to do is I want to handle ping messages here. The challenge, though, is that there's not really like a short circuit for, hey, this is a ping message. I don't really want to send this out somewhere, because there's a client that is connected to this that is receiving those messages. So what I could do is I could either return the event regardless and just not have code in the bot. So I would effectively have to have a no-op condition that if I receive a message to the bot and the bot doesn't know what to do with it, the bot just says, hey, I don't know what to do with this, logs it, and just moves on. That's one option. The other option is to introduce a channel, and when you connect to the client, then perhaps you receive a reference to a channel, or perhaps a reference to a channel is stored inside of this this client, whatever makes the most sense. And then the read loop, instead of returning an event and an error, instead perhaps the read loop could just receive the message, parse the message, evaluate whether or not it's something that needs to be processed internally or externally. And if it's external, plop it onto the channel. If it's internal, just process it and, move on with the loop. Drink water because you sound like you're going to be talking for quite a bit. Cheers, John. Thank you. We're actually going to end here in just a moment. So what color would you like, Pippa? So that's something of a design decision that I think we're gonna have to dig into, and I think we're gonna have to account for in the next stream. But for now, that is all the time that I have this morning. So let's see here. What do I have? That would be the closest that I have to a black, which is more of like a black light. So how about orange? Let's see here. Let's get a little bit like that, maybe? That's a little bit more. Something like that. That's close, I think. Wish you got here earlier. No worries, John. So again, for everybody here, first of all, thank you very much for stopping by the lab. I really appreciate having you all here. It really does make a difference for this experience. So it's so much fun to interact with you guys and to build this bot together with you all. So again, thank you so much. We are moving the Friday slot. I am going to get rid of the Friday night slot. And I'm going to keep the Saturday morning slot instead. So we are going to start at 7 a.m. Eastern time. So right now it is 9:32 a.m. Eastern. So the end time will be dependent on what's going on that day. But in general, I would like to at least do a 7 a.m. to a 9 a.m. That's the goal, at least. Looking forward to having you all here. I really like this slot because it gives me the opportunity to interact with all of my viewers across the pond that are not on this giant rock that we call America. I've drawn a new possibility we could talk about in Miro. Fantastic. I will give that a look here in a little bit, Shito. Thank you so much. I do appreciate your participation in this, by the way. So yes, we will be back Tuesday. I am keeping the Tuesday night slot, keeping it at 5:30. Might move it back to 5. I'm so sorry that the time keeps changing on everybody. My day is nuts right now. So, but for now, thank you all so much for stopping by. I really appreciate having you all here. Thank you for everything that you all are doing for me. And until next time, stay curious, and we'll see you all then. Take care.